And then go ahead and bend your knees. Grab your block at whatever setting you'd like between the knees or the thighs. Checking in with that triple S. So the back of the skull is down, the shoulder blades and the sacrum, spine is nice and long. We'll start with the hands either on the thighs or on the front ribs. We're going to do a segmental lift. So curl the tailbone up and then lift up one vertebra at a time into your low bridge, pushing down into the feet. And then slowly lower one vertebra at a time, like we're trying to get as much space in the spine as we can as we lower. So you're just going to keep lifting slowly and lowering slowly with control of the glutes and hamstrings, eking out that space in the low back. And hands can either be on the thighs to help with that tractioning away, or hands on the front ribs to make sure that we don't thrust the ribs up toward the ceiling. Keep pushing into the full foot, big toe, pinky toe, and heel. Gently hugging in on that block. The next time you come to that low bridge, we'll stay there. Feel those two pelvic points tighten in. We'll do left palm up, pull back with the right fingers into wrist extension, and we'll add on to this stretch a little bit more. Any amount, reach that left arm up overhead, but don't let the ribs thrust up toward the ceiling. And then bring the palm back toward the ceiling. So we'll do that a couple times, just enhancing the stretch, adding a little shoulder mobility. Keeping the ribs from lifting, pressing firmly into the feet. And then we'll switch hands, right palm up, pull back. Reach that right arm up overhead, shoulder flexion without the ribs lifting. And bring it back up toward the ceiling. Couple more times, active in the glutes, long through the low back. Hands come back to your thighs or your front ribs. Take one more breath in. Exhale, tiptoe the spine down, one vertebra at a time until the sacrum lands. And once we get down, we'll do hands on the thighs. Tip and tuck the pelvis just a couple times. So tipping forward, lifting the low back, arching it, tucking the tailbone under, just getting a little freedom there in the lower back. And then we'll find that neutral, that happy medium where the sacrum is down. You can adjust the block, hands behind the head, elbows up or elbows in toward the forehead. Huge breath into the side and back ribs, that big 360 breath. Exhale, hug the block. Feel your front ribs pull in toward the body or in and down toward the pelvis to lift you up without yanking on the head. Inhale to lower down without the ribs popping up. Exhale, hug the block and lift. Feel that pubic bone slightly zipper up toward the belly button. Inhale and lower. Adding on, exhale, lift up, hugging the block. Keep that sacrum down. Left hand reaches toward that left ankle, and we'll side bend left, shortening that left side of the body, lengthening the right side. Come back to center, hand behind the head. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift up, hugging the block. Keep that low back long. Right hand reaches toward the right foot. Side bend right, we shorten that right side. Come back, hand behind the head. Inhale and lower. Exhale, hug the block, lift up. Zipper the pubic bone up, left hand reaches. Side bend 2 times, we side bend left. Come back to center, staying off the right shoulder blade. One more time, side bend left. Bring it back, hand behind the head. Inhale and lower. One more time, exhale, hug the block, lift up. Cinch those 2 pelvic points in. Right hand reaches toward the right foot. Side bend right. Come back, stay off that left shoulder blade. One more time, side bend right. Come back, hand behind the head. Inhale and lower. Let's take the block out. You can hug the knees in, maybe rock side to side or up and down. And we'll make our way to quadruped. So coming to hands and knees, you could choose to be on fists or palms. Whatever feels nice as we really feel that nice neutral spine. So shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees, imaginary broom behind the back. We'll slide the left toes back. Toes are going to stay tucked under. Now we rock forward and back. Push into the left big toe, rock forward and back. So as we rock forward, we're getting more into the wrist mobility. We're going past that 90 degrees of wrist extension. We're stretching that left calf muscle, and we're getting some mobility for the left foot, the left toes, and the left ankle. So a lot going on here. We want to hold that pelvis neutral by zippering the pubic bone up to the belly. Now take your left knee, cross it behind the right leg or right knee, and we will sit the hips back without tucking the tailbone. We might not go very far at all. And then rock forward. Rock the hips back as if you're rocking a child's pose, but it's going to be so small, and rock forward. So we are stretching the back of that left hip. A couple more times. Tiny little rock. You might feel like there's barely any range of motion. That's okay. Good. Unwind back to quadruped. Set up that triple S. Right toes back. Keep the toes tucked under. Zipper the pubic bone to the belly. We rock forward, pushing off the right big toe, and rock back. Like we're trying to push back onto that right heel. So again, we're getting into the wrist. And as we rock forward, we're getting some plantar flexion of the ankle. As we rock back, we're getting dorsiflexion of the ankle. Lots of things on that right leg are getting a little bit warm. Cross the right knee behind the left leg or left knee. Rock back any amount without tucking the tailbone and rock forward. Make sure you're not tensing your jaw or holding your breath. Rocking the hips straight back. One side might feel tighter than the other. Let's uncross for cat-cow. Feel free to turn the fingers out or do anything you want with the hands while we cat-cow. Inhaling as we arch the back, spinal extension. Exhale, round the back, spinal flexion. Bring the hands to face forward again if you change the orientation. You can, of course, come to a down dog or lower onto your forearms for dolphin. Pick up the front ribs, tuck the toes. No matter where you are, we're going to lift the hip creases up. Walk the feet in so knees are really bent. Pelvis is neutral, lifting the ribs. We're going to pedal out the feet nice and slow. Stretching one heel down at a time into a calf stretch. But keep the knees as bent as they need to be so that we don't tuck the tailbone here. We want to keep that neutral throughout the pelvis and the spine. Feeling the stretch of the calf muscles, maybe all the way up into the hamstrings. We'll lower back onto the knees and make our way to the front of the mat. And we'll continue our reset with sun salutation 1. So once you get to the front of the mat, we'll soften the knees, check in with that imaginary broom behind the back, reach the arms forward and up, reach up through those fingertips and armpits, hinge forward without tipping the pelvis, right foot steps back, lower the knee and the top of the foot. We're in our active 90-90, zipper that pubic bone up, firm the right glute, roll one shoulder back at a time. So starting to move the shoulder blades and the shoulder joint. Keep drawing those pelvic points in. Hands come down for plank, or you're welcome to just cat-cow in quadruped. In plank, let's feel that triple S. Lower the knees, lift the front of the throat. Exhale, lower down with control, land the pelvis, zipper up. Low cobra. Lift the heart, but keep the belly lifting. Tuck the toes, down dog. Walk the feet in, shortening your stance. Press into the fingers. On an exhale, you can either step your right foot forward into 90-90 or lower both knees and then step the right foot forward. We untuck the left toes, rising up 90-90 on the other side. Zipper the pubic bone, draw those pelvic points in. Roll one shoulder back at a time. Active through that left glute, so we get this big stretch here at the left hip flexor. Hands come forward or to your block or blocks. Left foot steps forward to meet the right, bent knee forward fold. Press the ground away, rise up. Shoulder blades lift. Hinge forward with that imaginary broom behind you. Left foot back, lower the knee but not the toes. Same 90-90 setup. Broom behind your back. Left arm comes forward and up. Armpit lifts way up toward the ear. Side bend right, pushing that left glute forward, and then come back up. Reach up and over like we're arcing into that side bend. 2 more times. Lift up, side bend, active in that left glute. Lift up and side bend. Hands come down for plank or stick with quadruped and cat-cow. If you're in plank, that imaginary broom is behind you. Lower the knees, lift the throat so the ears are in line with the shoulders. Exhale, lower down, keeping the chest open. Zipper up the pubic bone, lift the heart, thoracic extension, low cobra. Tuck the toes, down dog, walk your feet in. Lift those hip creases up, big breath here. On an exhale, either step the left foot forward for 90-90 or lower both knees, and then step the left foot forward. We'll keep the right toes tucked, zipper pubic bone to the belly. Right arm reaches up, armpit way up toward the ear. Side bend left. Come back up. Reach the fingertips up further, and then side bend, pushing that right glute forward. 2 more, lift up and over. Zippering the pubic bone to the belly. Hands come forward or to your block. Back foot steps forward to meet the right. Bent knee forward fold. Reach the arms forward and up. Starting our first sequence, bend the knees, hinge forward. Right foot steps back. Lower the knee but not the toes. Rise up, 90-90, zipper up. Arms reach forward. We're going to windmill, a little twist here. Left arm comes up and back, turning through just the ribs. Any pace, but don't let the pelvis turn. So we have to keep that right glute nice and firm so the pelvis doesn't rotate with it. Hands will come to a block or 2 blocks, however many you'd like. And we'll lift off this right knee. Lift the belly away from this left thigh a little bit so we don't tip the pelvis. We're going to rock forward and back just like we did in quadruped in the reset. So same action here in that right leg. Push into the right toes to rock forward and then push back onto that right heel. The goal is to not let the tailbone or pubic bone tip around. So we're holding that closeness of the belly toward that left thigh. Stay here. Keep your right hand on the block, left arm out. Turn just from the ribs to the left. Twisted crescent. Let the right ear release to the shoulder. Strong in that right shoulder, right leg, right glute. We're going to lift off the block, turn to the right, facing the side of the mat. Parallel the feet. Side lunges, hands can be on the thighs, the pelvis, the hip creases. Whatever you'd like. Actively stretching the inner thighs. Making contact with the full feet, not just the heels. Turn to the back of the mat for a high lunge. Right foot is forward, left leg is behind. Zipper up. We're gonna hold the pelvis and lower body still. Hands come behind the head. Elbows open any amount without popping the ribs. We lift the heart, thoracic extension, but keep zippering the pubic bone up. Elbows come in. We round the upper back. Hold the pelvis still. Lift the chest, open the elbows, thoracic extension. Exhale, round the back, thoracic flexion. Try that a couple more times. You should feel that nice left hip flexor stretch, especially as you round forward over it. Any pace, we're also challenging our balance. Good, lift back upright, hands come down, we turn back to the side of the mat. This time we externally rotate the hips, bend the knees, zipper up. Arms reach out. We're gonna circle the shoulders backwards without anything changing. So notice if the ribs are moving around, popping up or popping down. If the tailbone's tipping around, and try to hold still. Good, leave the arms still. We'll side bend, left arm up and over. Back to center. Right arm up and over, side bend, holding the lower body still. Back to center, one more time. Left arm up and over. Come up. Right arm up and over. Stay here in this side bend with the right arm up and over. Backstroke this right arm, so add a couple circles. The last time you backstroke, we'll turn to the front of the mat. Right hand is welcome to come to a block or to the ground. Modified side plank. Right knee slides in, left foot steps back. Pause here, strong in this right shoulder. Zipper that front body up. You can float the left foot. You can point and flex the left foot. So again, getting into that ankle mobility, but also maybe feeling a little stretch in the calf muscle as you flex. Back to quadruped, we'll cat-cow. Any pace that feels good. When you're ready, tuck the toes, really pike the pelvis up into that shortened down dog, lifting the front ribs, releasing the neck. Keep the heels pretty lifted. We're gonna shrug the shoulders up and down. Getting some upper back mobility and freedom here. Really pressing into the fingers, the knuckles. From here, we'll walk it forward, bent knee forward fold, and pause here in your bent knee forward fold. Let's add a little bounce, trying to keep the belly as close to the thighs as we can. Hands can even be up high on the thighs or the shins. We're just lifting the hips and lowering the hips, making contact with the full foot. Bend the knees, reach the arms forward and up. Second side, lift those armpits. Hinge forward, long through the spine. Left foot back. Lower the knee, not the toes. We rise up for that active 90-90. Arms reach forward. Right arm does that windmill. Thoracic rotation. We draw those two pelvic points in like we're tightening our waistband the whole time so we don't rotate the pelvis. Hands can come to a block or two blocks, however many you need. As we lift the left knee, we're keeping that closeness of belly toward the right thigh as we rock forward and back, pushing off the left big toe. Maintaining that feeling of the pubic bone, trying to zipper up toward the belly button. Stretching actively that left calf muscle, maybe all the way up into the hamstring. Stay in that tilted lunge, left hand to the block, right arm out to the right. Turn just the ribs without turning the low back. Let the left ear release to the shoulder. Strong and sharp in that left leg and left glute. And we'll lift up, turn to the left, parallel the feet, side lunges. Any pace, hands can be on the pelvis, the thighs, poking into the hip creases to make sure we don't tip the pelvis forward. Let's turn to the back of the mat for that high lunge. Shorten the stance as much as you want. Zipper the pubic bone up, hold really steady. Hands behind the head. Flare the elbows and lift your heart, but keep zippering the pubic bone up to the belly. Elbows in around just the upper back, zipper the pubic bone up. Lift the heart, thoracic extension. Thoracic flexion as you round forward. So we're really pushing into the feet. Left big toe, right big toe. Maintaining that neutral pelvis. Come upright, turn to the right, so back to the side of the mat. Externally rotate the hips this time. Zipper up, reach the arms out. We circle the arms. Circle back without popping the ribs or tipping the pelvis. Check in with your breath to warm up those shoulder joints. Side bend, right arm up and over. Hold the pelvis still. Come back. Left arm up and over, side bend. Come back to center one more time each way, side bend, right arm up and over. Come back, left arm up and over, and we hold here. Backstroke this left arm a couple times. And on the last time, we'll sweep it down, turn to the front, modified side plank. Left knee slides in. You can have left hand on the block or the ground. Secure that left shoulder and shoulder blade. Right leg floats. We point and flex. Plantar flexion as we point. Dorsiflexion as we pull the toes back. The goal is to hold that left shoulder still, left hip and thigh bone still. Back to quadruped. Let's cat-cow. Any pace that feels good. When you're ready, tuck the toes, down dog. Walk the feet in toward the hands a little bit. Let the neck release. Knees stay soft. We push the ground away, shrugging the shoulders up and down the back. Keep lifting the front ribs up toward the body. Walk the feet forward, bent knee forward, fold. Now bend the knees as much as you need to keep belly toward the thighs. Hands can be on the shins, the thighs, as we do that little bounce, straightening and bending any amount, actively stretching the backs of the legs. Good, bend the knees, press the ground away, reach the arms forward and up. Okay, we're gonna do our string where we add on a little bit more, reach the arms up. Hinge forward, long through the spine. Right foot steps back, lower the knee but not the toes. Active 90-90, firm in that right glute. We start with the arms forward. Bring a left arm up and back and then stay here. We do a little reverse like a side bend. And then come back up, sweep the arm. Reverse it, little side bend, So we're adding on to that sensation for that right hip flexor, getting a little more upper body mobility. Go as slowly as you'd like. Make the range of motion as small as you need it to be. Good. This time we come forward, hands to a block or two blocks. Lift that right knee. Now right knee and left knee can stay as bent as you need while we lower the knee any amount and lift it back up. Just like those rocks forward, goal is to keep the belly close to that left thigh. So we're really actively stretching this whole posterior chain on the left side. So that's everything from the bottom of that left foot, up the leg, even into the back muscles. Now pause in that tilted lunge. Block comes under the right hand, left arm out. We rotate to the left and add on here. Sweep the left arm down like you're trying to reach it under the left leg and then back up. Sweep it down, holding that long spine and back up. Couple more times. Adding some rotation, active moving rotation into this twisted crescent. Now we lift up, turn to the right, parallel the feet, side lunge right, and reach the left arm toward the right knee, right ankle, right foot. Side lunge left, reach the right arm down. So same thing, we're adding a little bit more of a reach and rotation into this inner thigh stretch. Mobilizing the hips through a bigger range of motion. We'll turn to the back of the mat, high lunge, right foot forward, zipper up. This time we're adding shoulder mobility. So our arms come out, right arm up, left arm down, and then switch. Left arm up, right arm down. You can stick with just this, or as the left arm is down, add a side bend left. As the right arm is down, you can add a small side bend right. Your choice, add on as much as you want, but hold that pelvis still. Let's turn back to the left. We externally rotate the hips. Hands can come to the pelvis. No shoulder rolls this time. Lift the right heel. Internally rotate the right hip. Externally rotate, land the heel. Left heel lifts. Internally rotate. Externally rotate. You could, of course, pulse. Make it a bigger range of motion while we do this, so the hips are also going up and down as one side rotates. Hold the pelvis still, getting some active mobility and stretch for the hips and the groin. Turn to the front of the mat, modified side plank. Right hand can come to the ground or to a block. Left foot back. Stabilize through that right shoulder, right hip. Option to float the left leg, and this time, straight leg hip circle, so small. We want to practice circling the hip like we're drawing a circle with the foot, but it's coming from the top of that left thigh bone. Can we do this without the right hip and right shoulder getting involved? Another option is to bend the knee. If you can grab anywhere on the foot or the leg, take a quick quad stretch. Zippering a pubic bone to the belly. Quadruped, cat-cow. When you're ready, head to down dog. This time we swivel in our down dog. Lift the front ribs, turn the toes to the left. You can bend as much as you want, hips toward the heels, and then swivel the feet to the right. So you could stay really up high, just swiveling the feet, or you can make it more of a crouch if that feels good, to deepen that stretch on the side body. But keep picking up the ribs so we don't sink the chest down. Find that centered or neutral position. Walk the feet forward. Bent knee forward fold. Let's add our little pulse here. Belly to the thighs. Lift and lower the hips. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Armpits lift, second side, hinge forward like a broom is behind you. Left foot back, lower the knee, not the toes. Rise up, reach the arms forward. Windmill that right arm, pause, and then side bend or take a little reverse. Unwind. Right arm circles, rotate, add a little bit of a reverse, deepening that stretch for the left side body. Push that left glute forward, really active around that left hip flexor stretch. Come forward, hands to your block or two blocks. Lift the left knee. Goal is to keep belly toward the right thigh as we bend and straighten any amount. You don't have to straighten that right leg much at all. We just want to feel that active stretch behind the right leg without the pelvis changing. So without lifting or tucking the tailbone. Hold here in your lunge, left hand to the block, right arm out. Turn the ribs right, let the neck release, sweep the right arm under any amount, and then back up, rotate right. Strong in that left leg, left glute. Couple little sweeps and rotations here. We will lift, turn to the left, parallel the feet. Side lunge, add your reach toward the bent leg. Any pace that feels good. Turn to the back of the mat, high lunge, zipper up, arms come out. Shoulder internal and external rotation. One arm up, one arm down, we bend without the ribs changing. Option to add that side bend toward the bottom elbow, as long as you're still cinching those pelvic points in. Let's turn back to the right, externally rotate. We add that hip rotation. Pelvis stays still as we roll one thigh bone in. Again, make it bigger. Pulse the hips up and down more if that feels nice. Turn to the front of the mat, modified side plank. Left hand comes to the ground or to a block. Right leg extends back. Float the foot up, straight leg hip circles. Try to go both directions. These are super small, so the left hip doesn't change, left thigh bone doesn't wiggle, and the left shoulder doesn't wiggle. Option to bend the knee, come into a quad stretch if that's available. Zip, bring the pubic bone to the belly. Head to quadruped. Cat-cow. You can swivel it here if it feels good, or belly roll. If you would like to take a child's pose of any kind, you can. Option to bring elbows onto a block, palms together as you sit back, like you're trying to touch your thumbs to the back of your neck. Lift up through those front ribs so we don't sink the chest down. This is a nice way to get a stretch into the lat muscles. Breathe that big side to side breath. And then imagine breathing right into those back ribs. Let's come out of it. You can, of course, end on your back or end in a seated position. Wherever you'd like to be, let's close the eyes. Feel that nice length through the spine. Hands can come to your sides or rest somewhere on your body. Relax your forehead. Soften your jaw. Take a few more of your natural breaths here without overthinking it. Trying to release any tension you might be holding on to. When you're ready, take a moment to thank yourself for your practice today. Sending one grateful thought out into the universe.